All right, so in this video, we're going to look at how to find the expected rate of return on a portfolio. So let's take a look at our problem. If a portfolio consists of an investment worth $400,000, which is expected to get a return of 9% per year, and an investment worth $300,000, which is expected to get a return of 12% per year, what is the expected return on the portfolio? So our formula here is that the expected return on the portfolio is going to be equal to the weight of the first item in the portfolio, or first investment, times the expected rate of return on that investment, plus the weight of the second investment in the portfolio times the expected rate of return on that investment. Now, if we had more items or investments in the portfolio, we would keep adding terms here until we ran out of stocks or investments or bonds or what have you in the portfolio. But in this particular portfolio, we only have two investments. So we're just going to have investment 1 and investment 2. So now what we need to find is the weights, or the proportions of the money invested in each particular thing. So if we're going to call this first investment here with the $400,000, we'll call that investment 1. So in that case, the weight of the first investment is going to be equal to the $400,000, the amount of money invested, divided by the total value of the portfolio, which is going to be $400,000 plus $300,000. So the weight of the first investment is $400,000 over the $700,000 total value of the portfolio. So at this point, you should pause the video and work that out and see what you get. Okay, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten was the weight of the first investment here is 0.5714. So in other words, 57.14% of the portfolio's value is invested in this first investment. Now for the second investment, the weight of the second investment is going to be equal to $300,000 divided by the $400,000 plus $300,000, or in other words, the total value of the portfolio. So at this point, you should pause the video and work that out and see what you get. Okay, so if you work that out, what you should have gotten is 0.4286, showing that we have about 42.86% of the money in this portfolio invested in the second investment. And note that the weights add up to 1 because 100% of the portfolio's value is invested in something. So now we have the expected rate of returns here for the first investment and expected rate of return here for the second investment. So what we'll do is we will substitute into this formula. So the expected rate of return for the portfolio is equal to the weight of the first investment, so 0.5714, times the return on the first investment, which is expected to be 9%, so 0.09, plus the weight of the second investment, 0.4286, times the expected return on the second investment, which is 12%, so 0.12. So now if we're looking for the expected return on the portfolio, we need to work out each of these two pieces. So at this point, you should pause the video and work out this first piece. Okay, so if you paused the video and worked out that first piece, what you should have gotten was 0.051426, and I'm hanging on to a few extra decimal places until we get to the end. And then you should now pause the video and work out this piece and see what you get. Okay, so if you pause the video and work that out, what you should have gotten was 0.051432. And now what you should do is pause the video and find the sum of these two. All right, so if you pause the video and added that up, what you should have gotten was 0.1029, because I'm rounding off now as the last step, or in other words, 10.29%. So that means my expected rate of return on this portfolio is 10.29%. Now, importantly, that does not mean that I will actually get 10.29%. This just means what we expect to get on this portfolio. Significantly, this 9%, which is K1 for that first investment, that's what we expect the first investment to get. And this 12%, which is representing K2 or K hat 2, that is what we expect the second investment to get. But those numbers are basically the result of the different possible outcomes for each particular investment based upon how likely we think the outcomes are and how profitable we think the outcomes are. So this means that this 9% and 12% are merely estimates of what we think are likely outcomes, but they are not the only possible outcomes. So because those 9% and 12% numbers are not the only possible outcomes, this 10.29% is merely what we expect to get on average with this portfolio, but we don't actually know for sure if that's what we're going to get. And if this was a real scenario, you would find out after the year had gone by what you actually wound up with. So at this point, I recommend that you try this type of calculation on a few other problems and see how you do.